her mamma's sister. Oh, she's invited me to visit her.
Let's see.
Jane?
Oh, this surprises me a good deal. The whole party must never feel without any intention of coming back again.
What? When my brother left us yesterday.
Charles is gone.
We will miss your company as we will be gone for the winter, dear Jane.
Oh, it is evident by this that Mr. Bingley comes back no more.
Oh, Jane, it is only evident that Miss Caroline does not mean that he should.
Lizzie, I must just have misread the kind friendship that was offered me.
But my dearest Jane, you cannot seriously imagine that since Miss Caroline says that her brother, well, he is aware of your merit.
Mr. Darcy is impatient to see his sister. We're scarcely less eager to meet her again. I really do not think Miss Georgiana Darcy has any equal in beauty, elegance.
And I do not know whether I have mentioned to you before my feelings on the subject, but I will not leave the country without confiding them. My brother admires Georgiana greatly. Oh, Jane. It is, I have a different slant upon this. Will you hear it?
Most willingly.
Well, Miss Caroline sees her brother's great admiration for you, and she merely wishes for him to admire Miss Darcy. And so, she follows him to town to persuade him of this indifference.
Oh, yet, Lizzie, can I ever just be happy accepting a man whose sister and friends wish him to marry someone else?
My dear Jane, you must decide for yourself. Does the misery of disappointing his family surpass the happiness of being his wife? If so, I advise you, by all means, refuse him.
Mr. Collins.
Ah, Mrs. Bennet. Dear Cousin Lizzie, you must wish me felicitations. You shall now meet my new fiancée, Miss Charlotte Lucas.
My Charlotte? No, she would have told me.
Think that Charlotte Lucas will be mistress of this house. I may live to see.
Well, Mrs. Bennet, we must hope for better things. Let us flatter ourselves that I may be the survivor.
What a nice room to welcome me.
My love, my love.
Mr. Collins, would Lady Catherine, your esteemed patroness, be offended ere you stay?
My dear sir, you know I cannot take a step without her ladyship nods.
You cannot be too much upon your guard.
Risk anything rather than her displeasure.
And if you think of visiting again, you should stay quietly at home.
And be satisfied therein.
And that we shall take no offense.
It was nice for you to visit Mr. Collins.
Believe you me, my gratitude is warmly affected by such affectionate attention. And you will speedily receive a letter, thanks, from me.
Oh, Mr. Collins.
For this and for every other mark of your regard during my stay in Herefordshire. As for my fair cousins, though my absence may not be long enough to render it necessary, I shall wish them end happiness, not excluding Elizabeth. Did I ever tell you the compliments that I received on giving compliments?
How happy for you, Mr. Collins, to possess such a talent for flattering with such delicacy.
I wish to give them an unstudied air as possible.
Do these pleasing attentions proceed from the impulse of the moment, or are they a result of previous study?
Well, my compliments. Oh yes, my compliments. They are truly. Hello? What excellent boiled potatoes!
such a harsh way by Mr. Darcy.
It seems everyone was quite pleased that they disliked Mr. Darcy before they knew anything was the matter.
Mr. Darcy is jealous of such a one as you.
Well, my dear Lizzie, you look in spirits. For a girl who was refused an offer of marriage?
Well, dear aunt, I fear I am happy, much to Mamma's dismay.
And your father?
How my father made light of it, saying Jane was crossed in love, and I congratulate her. Next to marriage, this will give her a great distinction amongst her companions.
No!
Lizzie, you better be long outdone by Jane. Now is your time. What of Wickham? He seems an honorable fellow who would jilt you admirably.
Your father has a droll heart, yet your affectionate mother will make the most of it.
I do understand her grief, yet I could never marry without love, and I must tiptoe around now where I go.
I have a proposal to bring you joy.
Oh?
I invite you to tour the countryside.
Oh,
perhaps to the lakes.
Oh, dear aunt, what joy, what felicity! Adieu to disappointment and spleen, for what are men to rocks and mountains? Lakes and mountains and rivers, well, they will never be jumbled together in our imaginations.
Lizzie, dear, you are far too sensible a girl to fall in love merely because you're warned against it. And I am not afraid to speak openly. I would have you to be on your guard for this religion. Do not involve yourself in an affection of what would make so very imprudent.
Very well. Mr. Wickham shall not be in love with me, if I can prevent it.
Elizabeth, I am in earnest.
I beg your pardon, I will try again. At the present, I am not in love with Mr. Wickham. No, though I do feel such pity for him for his treatment by that abominable Mr. Darcy.
Promise me, Lizzie, do not be in a hurry.
How can I promise to be wiser than my fellow creatures if I am tempted? How can I discern the wisdom to resist?
Your mother might have said.
I agree.
Miss Elizabeth.
I will do my best.
Then I am satisfied. And what of Jane?
Oh, Mr. Bingley seemed an admirable match for Jane.
Yes, yet so often a man such as you describe, Mr. Bingley, so easily fall in love with a pretty girl a week.
Yes, but my Jane does not fall in love by accident, and I fear that Mr. Bingley's desertion was persuaded by his friends, as he was so violently in love just a few days before.
How violent was Mr. Bingley's love?
Oh, it was so very promising. He was inattentive to all and wholly engrossed with her.
Oh, Lizzie, think all the clever things you're going to say to Lady Catherine de Burgh when you finally meet her.
Lady Catherine de Burgh? You're going to see Charlotte?
Yes, she asked me most particularly to visit.
Give our love to Mr.
Reggie, you
Collins.
will be undoing of us all. Mark yourself.
Perhaps given everything, Jane might visit me as you visit Charlotte. It might give her a diversion. Farewell.
With my patroness, Lady Catherine de Burgh. Lady Catherine is all affability and condescension. We dine at the Rosings, and her ladyship carriages regularly ordered for us. I should say, one of her carriages, for she has several.
Yes, Lady Catherine is a very sensible, respectable woman indeed, and a very attentive neighbor.
Very true, my dear. What can I regard without too much defense?
Though I am not in vain, I am in my traveling garbs.
Do not be uneasy about your apparel. She allows for simple dress. She likes the position of rank preserved. Lady Catherine, may I introduce to you Miss
Bennet.
Well, it is an honor to meet your ladyship.
I know. And how many brothers and sisters do you have?
I have 4 sisters.
And how many are out in polite society?
All 5 of us.
All 5. And your governess?
We have no governess.
5 out at once. And no governess? Your younger sisters are out before the elder sisters are married. Younger sisters must be very young.
Well, the youngest is not yet 16, but to deny the younger sisters the amusement of the elders.
You speak very decidedly for someone so young. Pray, what is your age?
Well, with 3 younger sisters nearly grown up, your ladyship can hardly expect me to own to it.
Cannot be more than 20. I am sure. Do not conceal your age.
I am not yet 21.
May I introduce to you Colonel William?
It is an honor to make your acquaintance.
It is an honor to make yours, Miss Bennet.
And my nephew, Mr. Darcy. Miss Bennet, Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy and I are already acquainted.
Indeed.
I too am delighted to see you well, Miss Bennet.
Mr. Bingley and his sister are well, I hope?
Perfectly so. I thank you.
How suddenly they left Netherfield. Does Mr. Bingley ever plan on returning again?
His future time probably precludes this, for his life and friends and engagements are continually increasing elsewhere.
Well, perhaps he should quit and sell Netherfield with the same swift convenience at which he came.
I believe that...
Mr. Darcy, what are you speaking of? What is it? I must know what you are saying.
We were speaking of Herefordshire, ma'am.
Miss Elizabeth, Mrs. Collins tells me that you play and sing beautifully. Come indulge us in song.
How well, I just hope that my poor fingers will not prove praise unworthy.
Sure hope you do not disappoint. Music is of all things my delight. Few in England have a better true enjoyment or natural taste. I had learned I would have been great if on here would have performed delightfully if her health had need let her apply.
Please, Mother.
How does Georgiana play, Darcy?
Very well. I've never heard her equal for her age.
She does not continue to practice. How will she ever excel? Darcy, where are you going?
I assure you, madam, she needs no such advice. She practices constantly.
Mr. Darcy, do you mean to frighten me by coming in all this state to hear me?
Not at all.
Very well. There is a stubbornness about me that cannot bear to be frightened at the will of others.
I've had the pleasure of your acquaintance, Miss Bennet, long enough to enjoy occasionally pronouncing opinions other than your own.
What conversation brings such a smile to your lips, Miss Elizabeth? To make your eyes dance?
Well, prepare yourself for something scandalous. At a ball, Mr. Darcy danced only 4 dances, while gentlemen were scarce and many young ladies were in want of a partner.
Darcy?
You cannot deny the fact, Mr. Darcy.
I had not the honor of knowing any lady in the assembly beyond.
Oh, and nobody can be introduced in a ballroom.
You play well, miss.
Perhaps I should have judged better and sought introduction. I certainly have not the talent which some possess of conversing easily.
That is true.
Fitzwilliam, Darcy, what are you speaking of now?
Comfort with those I am unfamiliar with eludes me as others excel, as I have often seen you do.
Oh, well, my fingers do not move over this instrument in the masterly manner others have before me. But I always supposed it to be my own fault, because I would never practice.
Yet you have employed your time well, for it is a pleasure of hearing you. There is nothing wanting.
You are my Charlotte.
Well, worry not for me, for I am relatively content. For I do have a comfortable home.
As you should.
And I encourage Mr. Collins to tend to the gardens himself.
Oh, a very good hobby, I am sure.
And to spend a good amount of time every day in that.
Well, to be sure.
And I encourage him to take long walks for his constitution.
His health is of grave importance.
And I encourage him to be closer to Lady
Catherine de
for the venerable.
It was such a wonderful gift, such an inspiring idea, putting shelves in our closets.
Yes, she has made it quite a comfortable home.
Inspiring, absolutely inspiring.
I always am surprised.
There is no end to her insight.
Absolutely, my dear.
Even her servants are, what's the word?
Inspired?
Absolutely.
Lady Catherine, I believe, did a great deal to the parsonage when Mr. Collins first arrived.
She could not bestow her kindness on a more grateful subject.
Mr. Collins seems to be very fortunate in his choice of a wife.
She is my Charlotte. Mr. Collins, he chose well, and I will always do my best to protect her when I can.
Darcy is similarly protective of his friends.
What does it mean?
Darcy saved a friend from a most imprudent marriage, without mentioning names or particulars. I suspect it to be Bingley.
Did Mr. Darcy give you any reason for that interference?
I understood there were some very strong objections toward the lady.
My poor sweet Jane.
Miss Elizabeth?
Colonel Fitzwilliam, you must come to my parsonage.
I believe I should stay with Miss Elizabeth.
I will stay with Lizzie. You can, show Colonel Fitzwilliam how Lady Catherine suggested we planted the vegetables.
Pleasure, yes. Goodbye. Charlotte? Charlotte, he was the cause!
What cause?
Darcy, all that pride and caprice, all that Jane has suffered, and still suffers. Oh, he has the worst kind of prejudice. Oh, Charlotte, I am so very unwell.
Oh, my dear Lizzie. Poor Jane. How can this be?
I don't know.
Oh, please, let me take you home. You cannot be alone.
No, Charlotte. I need to be alone. Father. Go, Charlotte. I'm fine. Oh, please.
Miss Bennet,
Mr. Darcy.
I did not know that you ever walked this way.
I am not limited in my paths, Mr. Darcy.
Excuse the interruption, Miss Bennet. Mrs. Collins told me you were ill, and I wish to have come in hopes of finding you better.
I am quite recovered, thank you.
I am prone to make a tour of the park and intended to close it at the parsonage. Are you going much further?
No, I am quite through.
In vain have I struggled. My feelings will not be repressed. You must allow me to tell you how ardently I admire and love you. I have come to tell you that I have long felt you to be the most agreeable, charming woman of my acquaintance, and though I have tried to suppress it, yet I could not. Despite my logical reason, my yearning heart, my obvious knowledge of your familial obstacles have long prevented any acknowledgement of my regard for you. But, Miss Bennet, this knowledge, my very character must bow to you. Your beauty, your spirit completely win me over the inferiority of your connections. I care not that the world may see this union as beneath me. Miss Bennet, may I say, Elizabeth, despite all, I do love you, and I anxiously await your acceptance. This will make me the happiest of men.
But I feel gratitude. I would now thank you. I hope this does not cause you any pain, however unconsciously done. Yet I hope these feelings which have long prevented this proposal will soon overcome any regret you may now feel.
And this is all the reply, which I am to have the honor of expecting. I might wish to be made known why, with so little attempt at civility, I am thus rejected.
And I might as well inquire why, with so obvious an intent of insulting me, you decided to tell me that you liked me. Against your reason, against your character, and even against your will. But I have other provocations, you know I have. Do you really think, under any consideration, that I could be tempted to accept the man who ruined, perhaps forever, the happiness of her most beloved sister? You cannot deny your wrongness. Can you deny that you have done it?
I have no issue denying it. Towards him I have been kinder than towards myself.
Yet there is more duplicity on which my dislike for you is founded. What say you concerning Mr. Wickham?
You take an eager interest in that gentleman's concerns.
With his misfortunes, who could not? In a friendship like brothers. How could you, or under what misrepresentation imposed you of his misfortunes?
His misfortunes. Yes, his misfortunes have been great indeed.
And from what you say, you have done all of this, yet you treat these creative misfortunes with contempt and ridicule.
So, this is your opinion of me. Thank you for explaining it so fully. Yet perhaps all these offenses might have been overlooked, had not your pride been hurt by my
You mock me!
Had I flattered you, disguised the abhorrence of your family and station.
Mr. Darcy.
Did you expect me to
Mr. Darcy, you are mistaken, for this mode of declaration has only spared me the concern that I might have felt in refusing you had it been in a gentlemanlike manner.
My faults, by you are heavy indeed. Still, perhaps these offenses might have been overlooked, and not your
My
pride.
pride, Mr. Darcy, I had not known you a month before I had decided that you are the last man in the world that I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
You have said quite enough, madam. Forgive me for having taken up so much of your time, and accept my best wishes for your health and happiness. On many of the counts she speaks with merit, but at least on one I may defend myself in earnest. Miss Bennet.
Oh, Mr. Darcy.
I have been walking in the grove in the hope of meeting you again. Would you do me the honor of reading that letter?
Oh, yes. Miss Elizabeth Bennet.
I write without any intention of paining you, or of renewing the affections which this afternoon were so disgusting to you. But you have laid to my charge two offenses of a very different nature, which must be answered.
Answered unlikely.
But I must be allowed to defend myself against the charges laid at my door. As to the first, that I willfully detached your sister from Mr. Bingley, I can say Charles was smitten beyond compare. Your sister I watched too. Her look and manners were open, cheerful, and engaging as ever, but rang hollow.
Contemptible indeed.
If you have not been mistaken here, I must have been in error. That I was desirous of believing him indifferent, it is certain.
Oh, but Jane is but shy.
But there were other provocations. The situation of your family was nothing in comparison to the total want of propriety so frequently betrayed by yourself, by your three younger sisters, and even by your father. Pardon me. It pains me to offend you. If I have wounded your sister's feelings, it was unknowingly done. With respect to the weight of your accusation of having so injured Mr. George Wickham, I lay all bare before you.
How?
Mr. George Wickham's vicious propensities.
Vicious propensities?
And his want of principle. He eluded me at first. The deceased Mr. Wickham, George's father, was a kind and respectable man who managed the Pemberley estates. He was greatly loved by all, myself included. When the father passed, we took George in. Father liberally bestowed kindness upon George, hoping the church would be his profession. Education through Cambridge was bestowed, and our parsonage was reserved for George. Yet George refused the position and asked for a larger gift, to attend law school.
Law school?
Law is where my heart lies. Can't you see it, friend? of studying the law and resign all claim to the church and accept the return.
£3,000!
You see, I rather wished than believed him to be sincere. For I later learned the study of law was merely a pretense to a life of gambling and ill repute.
Oh no.
After 3 years, he was again in dire straits, and came to inform me that,
My circumstances most unprofitable study of law.
and I had no difficulty in believing him,
Come, brother, I am absolutely resolved on being ordained.
which I denied.
Nor could I fault you so.
He disappeared. How he lived I know not. Until last summer, here I ask for your discretion.
Which I give freely.
My dear sweet sister, with a substantial dowry, was pursued by Wickham in London.
Dear, sweet Georgia, how you have... How old are you now?
15.
What a beautiful woman you have become, Georgiana.
You've always been so very kind to me.
You love me, Georgiana. Elope with me. Nothing should stand in our way.
Wickham's chief object was unquestionably my sister's fortune of
£30,000!
Yet I cannot help supposing that the hope of revenging himself on me was a strong enticement.
How could I have been so blind?
And his revenge was almost completed indeed. Last night I tried, yet words failed me. I had no words of me left to share, nor could I know what should be revealed to protect dear Georgiana. Colonel Fitzwilliam can confirm these dark dealings. I will only add, God bless you, Fitzwilliam Darcy.
I stand in shame. I who prided myself on his discernment. Till this moment, I have never truly known myself.
Too much worse without authorizing us to lock her up for the rest of her life.
Father, parenting is more than laughing at your progeny.
Lord, Kitty, I dare say she'll ask me next year.
Lydia!
At any rate, I must goodbye my dear Wickham.
Lydia!
I shall be sure to give him a kiss.
Lydia! 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 Stop it! Lydia! Give them back at once, Lydia.
The officers will be there in 5
I am happy to have the opportunity to bid you farewell.
Yes, farewell.
I shall think of you often. How was your time at Constance? Did you find Lady Catherine everything I said?
Oh yes, she entertained us quite frequently, especially after Mr. Darcy arrived.
Mr. Darcy, he was at Rosings?
Yes, we saw him almost every day.
Atlas fate.
Not really. I do think that Mr. Darcy improves much in acquaintance.
Indeed.
I do think he is all he ever wants.
Will I have the privilege of seeing you in Brighton?
No, for I am fortunate enough to be going to Derbyshire.
Lizzie? Going to Derbyshire? Why can't I go to Derbyshire?
Your aunt wishes.
While you're there, you must be sure to pay a visit to Pemberley.
No, that is not in the cards. I cannot think we will.
You must. You can see the parsonage I should have had. Of course, call on Mr. Darcy.
Wickham, dear, you like my new ribbon?
I am not sure how to ribbons.
I do not think it's very pretty, but it must anyway. You know, Mr. Wickham, Jane will be quite an old maid. Lord, how ashamed I should be of not being married for 3 and 20.
Lydia? Going to Brighton. Lizzie? Going to Derbyshire. And Mary.
Mary?
Me? Mary. Mary took the last muffin at breakfast! Why does everyone else get everything? Let us find some diversion first to
Well, Jane, you have been so quiet since I told you of Mr. Darcy's proposal and of his letter.
Oh, how unfortunate that such expressions from Mr. Darcy were so undeserved.
Oh, and I praised those prejudices in others. Jane, I seek your wisdom. Shall we share the truth of that Mr. Wickham's character?
Oh, Lizzie, Mr. Darcy has entrusted the reputation of his fair sister with you.
Oh, you are right, Jane. And true. Oh, Jane, you really are the best of us.
Oh, Lizzie, you're too kind by far. And just so you know, I am over Mr. Bingley.
Oh, Jane.
I have reconciled myself, and I found comfort within it.
Oh, Jane. Oh, well, must we go? We have seen so many fine estates.
I'm excited to see the estate of Pemberley.
Oh, but what if Mr. Darcy is in residence?
My dear Lizzie, why not walk through the walls of which you have heard so much?
Oh.
What have you against Mr. Darcy?
Well, he is just so snippy.
Lizzie, you prejudicial. And so many of your acquaintances spring from here. Wickham passed his youth here, you know.
Mr. Wickham is not what he appeared.
The grounds are delightful. Some of the finest woods in the country.
And to Pemberley we go. And of this place, I might have been the mistress. With these rooms, and that man. Instead of viewing them as stranger, I might now be familiarly acquainted.
In what amiable light is Pemberley Place, Mr. Darcy?
Oh, it is impossible that he could still love me.
Miss Bennet.
Oh, Mr. Darcy, you are here.
Oh, Miss Bennet, may I introduce my younger sister, Miss Georgiana Darcy?
I am delighted to meet you, for my brother praises you with great fervor.
Oh.
I believe we shall be great friends henceforth.
I am so sorry to intrude. I did not know you to be in residence.
It is such a kindness that you would honor the public with access to your ancestral home.
Yes.
Miss Bennet, would you do me the honor of introducing me to your friend?
Oh, yes, of course. Mr. Darcy, Miss Georgiana Darcy, may I present to you my aunt, Mrs. Gardner.
You have a beautiful property, Mr. Darcy. I do not think I have seen its equal in all my travels. And I lived close to here as a child and often heard of the magnanimous spirit of your father.
Thank you for your earnest words.
Miss Bennet, you must dine with us for dinner, for my brother shares your talents. Superb.
Oh, well, he is being quite kind.
Your family. They are well, I hope.
Oh, yes, we are all quite well.
I am so happy you are here in Herefordshire. May Georgiana and I take leave for a moment to ensure preparations for your dinner this evening.
Yes, of course.
This is not the proud man you
Oh,
want
I
here.
hardly recognize him myself. I wonder what could have caused for such a transformation.
Can you not? Pray tell. I think Mr. Darcy is not so very bad. Nor Mr. Wickham so very good, as we had thought previously. Oh, Lizzie dear, I forgot.
Oh!
Letters for you.
Oh!
They arrived at the inn this morning.
Oh, thank you. It has been so long. And they are from my dearest Jane.
I shall give you privacy.
Thank you. Dearest Lizzie, I have intolerable news of the most alarming and serious nature.
I have desperate news of poor Lydia.
Our Lydia?
Colonel Forster came by express near midnight to inform us that Lydia was gone off with one of his officers. And to own the truth, with Wickham! Oh, imagine our shock. So prudent to match on both sides.
Great God!
His actions confused. For he must know my father can give for nothing. Lydia reeks of impropriety.
Oh, poor Lydia, poor stupid, impulsive girl.
Her mother is distraught, and her father grieves. In haste, your Jane. Oh, dearest Liz, I hardly even know what to write, but I have desperate news that cannot be delayed. Imprudent as the marriage between Mr. Wickham and our poor Lydia would be, you're now anxious to be sure that it has taken place. Wickham never intended to marry Lydia at all. Distress is great, and I suppose it's also lost to everything.
Despair, utter despair.
And Papa is duty bound to fight Wickham. Papa is a man of learning, not to war. And Mama is sure Papa will be killed. And Collins. Mr. Collins will turn us out before it first advantage. Ruin! We are under ruin! I beg you to come home swiftly to aid. In haste, your Jane. Despair! What a ruin!
Miss Bennet, what delights with you? Elizabeth, are you well?
I apologize, but I must leave immediately. I have not an instant to lose, and I must leave immediately.
Let me assist you, whatever the grief you face. You are not well. Let me share your burden.
I thank you. Soon there will be no concealment, and we will all be ruined for Lydia.
my youngest sister has eloped with none other than the infamous Mr. Wickham. Lydia has no money, no connections, nothing that can tempt him to. She is lost forever.
When I consider that I might have prevented this, I who knew what he was.
No, I could have, but it is too late. There lies your proof of my family's weakness.
I am grieved indeed. Grieved and shocked. But is it certain? Absolutely certain.
Oh, yes.
What has been done? What has been attempted to recover her?
My father races to London. Jane begs my assistance. Yet I am quite sure that nothing can be done. How is such a man to be worked on? How are they even to be discovered? I have not the smallest hope.
Would to heaven that anything could be said or done on my part that might offer consolation to such distress. But I will not tempt you with vain wishes.
It is too late now. Our entire family must partake in a disgrace and ruin.
I am grieved indeed. Grieved and shocked. And I must leave you here.
Please apologize for us. To Miss Darcy, say that urgent business calls me home. Please conceal the unhappy truth as long as it is possible. And I know it cannot be long.
Dear Jane, I come swiftly home. Mr. Gardner is pursuing Mr. Wickham. Colonel Forster shows the sinister nature of W. Not a single friendship W is left unsullied. His acquaintances many, as are his huge gambling debts.
Oh no! Oh, a gangster! This is wholly unexpected. I had not an idea of it.
Debauchery, intrigues, seductions, towns where daughters were shielded from Wickham, or whose virtue was sullied from his exploits. A trail of broken hearts.
Oh God!
Thus, Wickham has strong motives for secrecy betwixt fear of discovery from father and all who wish to make him pay. More than £1,000 unnecessary to pay his debts in Brighton alone. Yet ere he goes, his debts of honor are still more formidable.
Oh, such dishonor! And now, Lydia part of it from all. What? Is Mr. Bennet returned then? And without my poor Lydia, who is to fight Wickham and make him marry?
Oh, Father, I am so sorry for all that you have suffered.
And who should suffer but myself? It had been my doing, I ought to feel it. You tried to warn me, and I tried to find them. Yet they be so well concealed.
Concealed as Wickham's deceit.
Misfortunate as this is for Lydia, there is a useful lesson. Loss of virtue in female is irretrievable. One false step to an unassuming suitor involves her in endless ruin.
Oh, Papa! I wrote! And I bring news. Here's a letter for you. Oh, what news does it bring, good or bad?
Dear family, at last I am able to send you some tidings of my niece, with such as I hope shall give you satisfaction.
It is as we hope they are married. What does it matter?
Lizzie, please read. Read it aloud, for I hardly know myself what it's about.
Mr. Bennet, I have negotiated on your behalf. All that is required of you to assure to your daughter is £100 per annum, 1,000 in your will. Enjoy the quiet of Longbourn and depend upon my diligence and care.
Lydia was married!
Married in our home, of which I hope you can approve. She and Wickham come today. I apologize for not sharing the news with them. Is it sooner in her?
are too little.
Why would he marry her for so little?
How am I ever to repay?
What do you mean, sir?
You'd expect the blackguard Wickham to force 10,000.
10,000! Oh, heaven forbid! How does have such a sum to be repaid?
I am sure I do not know.
Oh, my dear, dear Lydia! How delightful indeed! Married at 15! How I long to see her dear Wickham soon. How merry we shall be together.
You will not receive rubbery from me.
To think it's been 3 months since I went away. It feels but a fortnight. Gracious me, I declare. When I went away, I'm sure I had no idea of being married. But I did think it'd be very good fun. You must go to Brighton, Kitty. It is the choice place to catch a husband.
I do not particularly like that method of catching a husband.
It seemed to work for you, Lydia, but Mom, may I?
Kitty, I will last learn to be cautious. You will not disparage this home. No officers, no balls. And that is final. And always thoroughly escorted by your sister.
Oh, Kitty.
From now, we are brother and sister. Let us not quarrel about the past, as from now we will be always in one mind.
Oh yes, Jane, I take your place now, for I am a married woman. So I must tell you our love story. You'll be enthralled.
Not really. I do not think there can be too little said on that subject.
We're to be wed, but the waiting was horrific. But I fought boredom with my dear Wiki. We love the most romantic way. I strongly encourage it to snare a husband.
How could you, Lydia?
Finally we could be wed. And despite my aunt and uncle not being there to speed up the service, Mr. Darcy stood in. And so it happened.
Mr. Darcy?
Oh yes, he's come there to Wickham, you know. But gracious must be quite a secret.
There must be a secret, say no more.
I guess not, for Wiki would be furious.
Lydia, I am your bride, don't you so?
Coming, Mama. The time has come for me to start my statutes as a married woman.
You must write me often, my darling.
I'm a married woman now, Mother. Me and my Wiki will be far off in Newcastle.
Sweet child.
I may not have time for you, Mother. I left so many social engagements. My sisters may write to me. They have nothing better to do.
Lydia.
Mr. Darcy. Mr. Darcy at Lydia's marriage. Why would he?
Lizzie. Mr. Darcy saved us all. He found Wickham and Lydia. Negotiated the whole of Wickham's terms and charge.
Mr. Darcy, he has saved us. He is our salvation.
Lizzie, why would he? Why would he so selfless, so kind? What could his motive even possibly be?
Oh, perhaps he has another motive. No, I cannot think that to be true.
Lizzie, are you all right?
I think I am. I have been so blind. And now the truth stares right at me.
Please, my daughter Lydia, as you go. News, such news. Mr. Bingley has returned another and he and Mr. Darcy are not far behind me. Oh, Lizzie, you cannot think me weak in love of Bingley now, can you?
Oh, Jane, I think you're in great danger of making him in love with you, is that
Mr. Bingley, won't you come in? And Mr. Darcy, isn't this pleasant?
Kitty, come help me! Now, boy, I'll
Recently married and soon to journey far to the north. Felicitations, Mrs. Bennet, on such a wonderful eve. It is delightful to have a daughter wed, yet it is hard to have her taken from me.
No!
It's a lovely room. Yes, so inviting.
And you are well, Mr. Darcy?
Quite well.
What is the matter, Mamma? Why must you keep winking at me? Nothing, Mary. I did not wink at you.
Mary, may I have your hair ribbon? It can be my wedding
And your grounds are lovely as well. But would it be considered rude if I might step outside to peruse them for a moment?
Well, welcome to Mr. Darcy. Lizzie, we may as well leave them by themselves. Mary, Kitty, let us go upstairs to assist Lydia. My daughter is recently married and will soon be starting her journey.
Speakingly, Jane. Oh, I cannot thank you enough for everything that you have done for us. I really can never repay your kindness.
I needed to remedy the evils brought on by myself, for through you I'm a better person.
I know the pain this must have caused you, as I knew the pain it has saved us, I mean, my family from.
It was for you, Miss Bennet. Now I must take my leave as to ensure the focus be on the hopeful reconciliation of my favorite friend and your favorite sister. I hope to see you soon again, Miss Bennet. Might I call on you?
Jane, I have been a fool in order to undertake ours. I was told, wrongly, to only tolerate me. Your beauty, your kindness, your goodness. How could I deserve you? So I believe these fallacies, because only my happiness at stake and not yours. And all you kindly offered was friendship. As soon as I heard you may feel the same for me, I had to see if there was any chance that you would have me. Express my love for you.
Oh, yes! 1,000 times yes! 'Tis too much. By far too much. Why is not everyone this happy?
Then thanks to permission, I go voice your father. Oh, you don't know where it is.
Lady Catherine de Bourgh.
Really, this is an unexpected pleasure.
I was just... I assume that is your youngest.
Yes, that's my youngest are married. My youngest is now married.
I wish to speak to Miss Eliza. Alone.
Jane, she's quite scary.
Miss Bennet, you must know why I have journeyed hither.
I am at a loss, Lady Catherine.
Your own conscience must tell you why I come.
Indeed, madam, you are mistaken, unless this be some message from Mrs. Collins.
I am not to be trifled by your insincerity.
That is not my intent.
The part of the most alarming nature has informed me that not only are your sister on the verge of being most advantageously married,
Well, felicitations are in order for my most dear and sweet sister.
and that you are in all likelihood soon to be knighted to my nephew, Mr. Darcy.
Mr. Darcy?
Although I knew this must be a most scandalous falsehood, I instantly resolved that I might find the truth.
Well, if this be so, why would you trouble yourself to come?
Impertinent! Mr. Darcy is engaged to my daughter. Now what say you?
Only this, if that be true, you do lack reason to suppose he would make me an offer.
Impertinent fool. Be sensible, Miss Bennet. This is not the sphere in which you have been brought up upon.
He is a gentleman, and I am a gentleman's daughter. So far, we are equals.
True. A gentleman's daughter. What so be the condition of the rest of your family?
Whatever the condition may be, your nephew does not object.
Answer me now. Has my nephew made you an offer of marriage? I insist upon having this rumor universally contradicted. Have you heard this rumor?
No, I have not.
You can likewise declare there's no foundation to it.
I do not pretend to possess equal frankness with your ladyship, though you may ask me questions that I may choose not to answer.
Answer me now, child. Has my nephew made you an offer of engagement?
Your ladyship has declared that to be impossible.
Do you not know who I am? Never have I been accustomed to such insolence. Answer me. Promise me. You will never enter into such an engagement.
Well, I will make no promise of the kind.
I know of your tortuous sister, infamous elopement, marrying a servant's son. The shame Pemberley to be thus polluted.
You have now insulted me in every possible method, and it would be impossible for me to ask you anything other than to leave.
I shall take no leave of you, and I send no compliments to your mother. You are nothing. You deserve no attention, Miss Bennet. Never have I been thus treated this way in my entire life.
I'm in confusion. Is it not impossible that Mr. Darcy could still love me?
Miss Bennet!
Oh, Mr. Darcy! Oh, I can never thank you enough for what you have done for Lydia, and I suspect also for Jane. And it's your mortification.
And I am sorry, my aunt.
Oh,
my
and
aunt.
Jane is so happy once more, for Bingley has proposed, and she cannot contain her bliss. It must be of your doing.
Surely you must know. I will not attempt to deny. It was for you, Miss Bennet. It was all for you. I thought only of you, your happiness. You are too generous to trifle with me, and your strength has taught me to hope. If your feelings are still what they were last April, tell me so at once. My affections, my wishes are constant, and yet, all but one word, onward from you, will silence me forever.
Oh, Mr. Darcy, I was blind, I was misled. I am so ashamed to remember.
If, however, your feelings have changed and you have transcended,
Oh, my feelings and emotions are quite changed.
you have bewitched me completely, in spirit, body, mind, and soul. And I love you devotedly.
I wish never to be parted from you henceforth. I am yours.
Oh, Lizzie, if I could see you this happy, if there was such a man for you.
There is Jane, and I am engaged to him, Mr. Fitzwilliam Darcy.
Good heaven, Mr. Darcy, do you jest? Can it really be so?
Yes.
Forgive me asking, are you quite certain that you can be happy with him?
Jane, I have held this close in my heart, as close as you held your emotions for Bingley.
Oh, my dear Lizzie, I am still reeling. I thought you hated him. I know you despised him.
Oh, Jane, I was blinded by pride, misled and brimming with prejudice. And I did not always love him so well as I do now.
Oh, good heavens, Mr. Darcy! Yet now I must believe you.
Jane, we are to be the happiest of couples in the world. But are you pleased, Jane? Shall you like to have such a brother?
Oh, very, very much. Nothing could give either Charles or myself more delight. Charles and I considered you and Darcy, though we thought it impossible. You truly like him quite well enough.
I do like him.
And what of his fault, his pride?
Indeed, he has healthy pride. He is perfectly amiable, and he is selfless. Such kindness.
And do you really love him quite well enough?
I love him utterly.
I said to Lizzie, Are your senses to wed this man? I thought you always hated him. And my dearest Lizzie just smiled and swore she loved him.
Oh, good gracious. Lord bless me, only think. Oh, dear me, Mr. Darcy. Who would have thought it? I ask myself, is it really true?
Well, Elizabeth does truly care for him, and him for her. I saw their love grow right in front of me.
Oh, my sweetest Lizzie.
How rich and how great she will be. What pin money, what jewels, what carriages!
Elizabeth always craved vitality and love of an equal in wedded bliss.
Mary, are you not surprised by this union? The true opposite of love is not hate, but indifference. Therefore, this turn of events does not surprise me. There is always wisdom in your words, Mary. Lizzie never could have been truly happy with a husband who was not her equal.
Nor can my brother be happy.
And I agree. And Darcy had to be deserving of my girl. For otherwise, out of love for her, I couldn't have parted with anyone less amiable or kind.
And such a charming man. So handsome.
And so tall. My dear Lizzie, you know, she said we're completely wrong about him. He's not proud or rude at all.
Oh, well, pray apologize for my having disliked him so much before. I hope you will overlook it.
I did try to console Lady Catherine to the best of my abilities.
I would stand by her nephew, Mr. Darcy, has more to give.
And dear, the weather is much brighter here.
Now, 3 of my daughters soon married. 10,000 a year, and very likely more. Dear heavens, my nerves are not so poor anymore. And best yet, better prospects for Mary and Kitty.
Yes, if any young man come to court Mary or Kitty, I will be quite at my leisure to receive them.
Please show reverence and welcome the happy couples.
There they are.
Thank you.